Now that the dust has settled, literally and figuratively, in the Middle East, I wanted to jump on here and share some very interesting Iranian dating customs that would probably shock the crap out of what most Westerners. My name is Diana, and I am a 44-year-old single woman. I'm Iranian. I document my dating stories here on YouTube, and if you want to get to know me a little better, I have an OnlyFans where I chat and share more explicit versions of my stories. No corn, it's just me, just disclaimer. Um, so, in America, we know certain things are allowed and certain things are illegal. Polygamy is allowed in very small areas of the country, otherwise, it's illegal. There's nothing wrong with being married to as many men and women as you like, just not all at the same time. Also, we are all very aware that prostitution is illegal in the United States. There might be some efforts to decriminalize it, but it is still across the board illegal. Conversely, in Iran, there is a Islamic legal dating custom called sigha, which is a temporary marriage. A temporary marriage is a legally binding contract between two people that can last as little as an hour and for as long as the two parties are willing to participate in it. It doesn't have a lot of the financial benefits to women as a traditional marriage does. For example, there's no right to inheritance, there's no requirement to house the wife. But while a traditional marriage in Iran requires a dowry on the part of the wife's family to the husband's family, usually in the form of buying furniture for the newlywed's home, in a temporary marriage, the husband is required to pay the wife a predetermined sum, a sum that's determined between the two of them, in order to embark on this marriage. So it's a Islamically sanctioned prostitution loophole. Now, polygamy existed in Iran prior to the invasion of Islam, which, given the context, it was really that type of polygamy was practiced world round. Any man of massive means, of massive wealth, be they a royal family, an emperor, a nobleman, a successful merchant, if they had the means to maintain multiple households in a safe and fair fashion, that they would do so. Why wouldn't they? But what Islam did was make it a little stricter. Islam made it only legal to have 4 wives, and only as long as the man could provide for each wife equally. However, there is an unlimited amount of times that a man can have a temporary marriage, or there's an unlimited number of temporary wives that a man can have. And as I said, this is legal in Iran. It is frowned upon. Societally, multiple marriages are frowned upon and temporary marriages are frowned upon. In addition, while men are allowed to have an unlimited amount of temporary marriages, women are only allowed to have one at a time. Like in the United States, you can only have one marriage at a time. It's the same for temporary marriages as far as a woman is concerned. She can only have one at a time. And there's supposed to be like a waiting period in between the two marriages to see if a child has resulted in that marriage. Of course, now with modern birth control, that waiting period might be ignored, but it's still only supposed to be one temporary marriage for a woman at a time. So yeah, prostitution is illegal in the United States, but it's very much legal in Iran. It's just packaged as a marriage so that it conforms with Islamic values, like family values, the fabric and foundation of community is the family. So it's very interesting that this concept exists. As I said, it's very much frowned upon. People don't talk about it. It's something that's known, but I don't recall ever meeting anybody who engaged in that activity. Not that anybody would be very open about it. However, poor women, college students, divorced women, they would be the type to be more likely to benefit from a situation like that, and thus find themselves in engaging in that kind of lifestyle. When we jump from Iran coming to the United States, yeah, women have a lot more rights here. Yes, they do. But there's been so much online discourse as to OnlyFans degrading society. It's destroying society. Is it really? Is it really? One of my favorite songs, and the song that I believe is the most relevant song in American culture, is Jeremy by Pearl Jam. And I'm not going to get into the details, because if you try to click on watching that video on YouTube, it comes with a disclaimer beforehand. There are so many ills in society. There are so many ills in society. But claiming that a woman having control and sovereignty over her sexuality and being able to profit off of it on her terms is a moral ill is ludicrous. It's just another way to police women and subjugate them to criticisms and downplaying it just in a modern fashion. In Iran, the Islamic Republic very much polices sex, polices how people engage in sex by legalizing these temporary marriages, by legalizing prostitution, framing it as a family value, framing it as a marriage, and then being able to keep track of it. Again, the issue is not on both sides of the world, in the United States and in Iran. The issue is not a woman's sexual desirability. There's nothing wrong with a woman being sexually desirable in either country. There's nothing wrong with a man wanting access to a woman in either country. There's nothing wrong with a woman enjoying sex in either country. The problem is a woman being in control of those things in either country. So that there's things in common, and that has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with politics. It just has to do with our evolution, where we are on the evolutionary scale in men and women, and our relationships with each other, and how we deal with different technologies, different outlets, and different ways to express ourselves, and more importantly, assert independence, assert autonomy. That's the number one thing that's most important to everybody in the world right now. Being able to control one's life and make decisions in one's life. There was a video, I went on an Instagram Reels deep dive, and I found a young Iranian content creator. He does street interviews, and he interviewed a young woman at a mall. And he asked her, what's the state of dating in Iran today? And she said, dating for love is absolutely canceled. She said canceled in English. She said, dating for love is absolutely canceled. And he said, then what are you doing? And she said, we're doing temporary marriages. And he's like, oh, really? And he goes, are these men spending money on you? And she goes, oh, yeah, absolutely. And he goes, so are all Iranian women just looking for a temporary marriage? And she said, yes. Why would we hang up our hopes and dreams and independence on a marriage that might not turn out to our best benefit. We could just sugar, she said in English again, sugar. I could just sugar and be in control of my financial destiny and be in control of my own life. So it's funny how that word sugar is being used and introduced to the Persian lexicon to modernize and rebrand a very ancient custom and making it more socially acceptable to talk about, to bring it to the forefront of conversations and enable women to gain another inch of control over how their bodies are used, over what kind of accessibility they have over their own sexual lives and over their financial lives. It's really, 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 really interesting. The skirmish that occurred made a lot of Iranians very hopeful, in my opinion, falsely so, very hopeful over the chances of a revolution. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but it got me thinking about what dating might look like. My channel is focused on dating. What might dating look like in Iran in the future? It would absolutely be female-led. The future in Iran after a revolution will definitely be female-led, feminist-oriented. And I would not go so far as to say it would become as liberal as American culture and American dating standards. Iranians are still, prior to Islam, were very family oriented, very learning oriented, very focused on hospitality and family values. These are things that will not go away. But I think that there will be opportunities will open up for more women to engage in sigha or temporary marriages in a safer way and in a way that will allow them for more women to have the choice to establish financial independence and a secure future going down that route should they choose to. Today's the 4th of July. God bless America. I remember talking to a friend and saying that people don't leave their home country and everything they know to come here because it's important for them to be able to practice their religion freely or be able to be, gay freely or whatever. I believe people are willing to leave everything behind and come to the United States because the United States is the easiest country in the world to make money. And so far, even in our current influx economic circumstances, that's still the case. That's still very much the case. America is still the easiest country in the world to make money in. And for as long as that's true, I am a proud American. I love this country, and God bless the United States of America. I wonder if, it being the way I am in Iran, would I end up finding myself in sigha situations? Probably not. Probably not. Even if I wanted to. Even if it looked like my only option for survival, there's too much pressure. There's too much pressure to conform and stay in a marriage, even if it's unsatisfying, or just remain unhappy, than take that kind of social risk. And let's remind ourselves, that's legal in Iran. Temporary marriages, the prostitution loophole, it's illegal. It's still very much illegal in the United States. Diddy might go to jail for it. It's still very much illegal. But it's just interesting to see how two very different countries with very different laws around prostitution are ultimately have the same agenda, and how women are still so innovative and clever to find their ways around it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, feel free to explain them below, and I'll talk to you in my next video.